Alrighty, guys, I think I'm doing this correct. I hope you can hear me okay. Can see a few people are still joining too, so I'm just going to drag it out a little bit if that's okay. I want to make sure everyone's in before I start too far, but thanks for joining, guys. I'm really happy to do this. I'm been waiting for this stupid budget to get out of the way, so we can all just move on and see what the government's decided to do, which is not all that bad, to be brutally honest. I'm not that shocked at all with what they've said here. So yeah, I hope you can all hear me. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to run through while I wait for a few more people to jump on. I'm just going to run through a couple of things. Just the chat window is probably the biggest thing where you can ask some questions, which is the big thing for tonight, really, isn't it? Where I want to just break down a couple of things and you can ask some questions. So I'm just going to share my screen, guys. Give me 2 seconds. So obviously that's our little thing at the front. So in the bottom of your Zoom, so very important, you've got a little chat box down here, is an arrow here or a Q&A box. Your device might be different depending if you're on a phone, laptop, iPad, whatever it might be, but there is a little chat and Q&A. But what I was going to get you to do, if you can, is put a little thumbs up in the chat box. I just want to make sure the settings are right. It's been a little while since I've done something like this, so I do want to make sure I've got all the settings correct so I can answer your questions. Make sure, Jess, of course, you're first in. Oh, Carlos. Oh, yeah, cool, perfect. At least it's working. That's the main thing I'm after here, guys. Because I want to make sure you guys can ask heaps of questions if you need to. And we can just work through it bit by bit. I'm actually excited to share all this. So, all right. But, okay, everyone looks like they're in, which is perfect. All right, guys. So let's get started, hey, so we don't keep you up too late tonight. So what tonight's all about is just about this stupid government, right? So the agenda I want to chat about is realistically just a few things, because a lot of people are like, what's going to happen to my portfolio? What's going to happen to my property? How do we deal with this moving forward? Which is all normal, guys. A budget normally doesn't affect property this much, but we just want to make sure that everyone's like understood what's going to happen to their own properties or portfolio or whatever you're putting together moving forward. So the first thing is, through the agenda, we've got the capital gains tax changes. They changed that to an index model. I'm going to go through that. Negative gearing for new properties only. Family trusts are going to get taxed at 30%. I want to share the Facebook group, which we've been trying to do for 12 months, which is probably needed now with what's happening in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, my view moving forward, and most importantly, I want to get any questions that are burning in your pocket and in your mindset, because I really want to make sure no one's stressed about this. It's actually not that bad, guys, to be honest. So I suppose as a little bit of a question for everyone, in the chat box, if you want to put it, if it's up to you, who thought it might be worse than what they've announced? That's a big question I've got for you guys. I actually thought what they've done is pretty much what I thought they were going to do, but there was so much scarce, like, media, everyone was scaring everyone. But end of the day, it's actually not that bad at all. So, because the government can't, obviously, right? So from my perspective, was anyone else worried that it was going to be worse? Yeah, as you can say, a lot of people were, but why is that? It's the media, right? The media's made it sound worse. And this started almost from January too, if you remember, guys. Like, how stupid's our government? Let's put a heap of fear into everyone's lives for 2 months who are trying to build investment portfolios. So that's the stupidity from our government, but that's the stuff we have to live through. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for now so you can see me. If that's good or bad, that's up to you guys. But yeah, so for me, when budgets come around each year, they never bother me. All right, they never bother me. I'm never bothered by it. I wasn't really bothered by this one either. I was more bothered because everyone else was. But this does have a little bit of impact to property, so you've got to be aware of what you can and can't do moving forward. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the capital gains tax. So thank you, Rick. So with capital gains tax, if you remember, if you held your property longer than 12 months and 1 day, 50% of your capital gains was tax-free, and the other 50% was just added to your income. So in some cases, people were only paying 15%, 20% capital gains tax. Now, the government's seen this happening, and some people are doing it over a 12-month, 2-year period too. So you might make 100 grand, 200 grand, and the people are selling their properties off and only paying 15, 20% tax. So the government's like, let's pick up on this. There's a bit of a tax grab. But also what they're trying to promote from the capital gains tax perspective, I believe, is longer term housing for tenants. So I do believe that's what their motivation is there, apart from a tax grab, is that they want everyone to hold properties a lot longer. So with what I've read so far, and obviously I'm quite new to this structure, and there's going to be a bit of back and forth to get it right, I guess, too, to make sure your accountant's got it right. I'd actually hate to be an accountant today, trying to analyse everything, because it's not just property that's been affected, obviously. But just so you know, I am not an accountant. I'm just here to give my opinion on everything. And anyone who knows me well knows I do not like the government. So I'm always about this, let's try and make it as tax-free as possible. So with the capital gains tax, how it's going to work. So we used to have that 12 months, 50% capital gains tax-free, etc. Oh, sorry, before I go any further, I had to mention everything, all these changes do not hurt what you've already done. So if you've got a property under construction, or you've got 2 or 3, 5 properties in your portfolio at the moment, they are not affected. Even if you've bought a property and signed a contract and it hasn't even started yet, you've got the block of land, that is still on all the old school capital gains tax structure. But anything from basically last night, or I would say yesterday, moving forward, you've got to be very careful about how you're going to structure it from a capital gains tax perspective. So like Max said, there, it's still going to be passed through the Senate too. So that's the other thing too. I think it will, but I'm just not sure if it's all going to go through exactly like this. But capital gains tax. So moving forward, capital gains tax is really only going to affect short to medium term buying and selling. So if you're going to buy and sell within a 5-year period, which a lot of people do, you might want to consider putting it into a company structure. The reason why I'm saying that is a company structure is only a 25% tax rate. You're basically retaining 75% of that profit. So if you do decide to sell, you can basically know what tax you're going to pay. I reckon I've only got a couple of properties left in my personal name, old ones I've had for a while. All my properties now are predominantly in companies. So if I buy and sell stuff, whether I've had it for a month or 10 years, I know what my tax rate's going to be. It doesn't matter. Now, the problem with companies, it's a layer of complexity. So if it's your first property, you may not want to put it in a company. But for me, because I'm more of an enterprise, that's how the government sees me, because I do so much, I put it in a company, 25% tax rate. I deal with the GST issues in and out. At least I know before I go into a deal what I'm up for and coming out the other end. So with capital gains tax, the good news is that everything you've done up to basically today is not affected. Everything's on the old school capital gains tax system. How the new capital gains tax system, as far as I can understand, is it's going to be indexed. So this is something they did back in the 90s. That's where basically they just add the index of inflation each year for how long you've had it. But what they're saying on top of that is they're also going to charge a minimum of 30% tax on your gain. I don't know how they're going to calculate that, to be honest with you, but it looks like any gain you make, say, for example, you pay $500,000 and it's gone up 3% per year, you have it for 10 years, just say it's worth, from the tax department, the capital base might be $600,000. But if you make 200 on top of that, they're going to charge you 30% tax. So it's not necessarily added to your income the way it used to be. It's more of a 30% tax break, 30% tax hit. So when selling your property, you'll know straight up you're going to lose 30%. If you do it in a company, there's no time limit that you have to get past to get your gains. It's just 25% straight off the bat. If you do it in a trust, which I don't really do a lot of trusts, they're actually trying to put 30% on trust as well. So from my perspective, the capital gains tax thing it's just one of those things we've got to move through. Do I think it's going to stay forever? No, I don't. I think the next election coming around is going to change everything back, or change it again to something different. If you remember, you may or may not remember, but the last election, Labor was really pushing stopping negative gearing as an example. And they pulled out of that last minute, and then they won the election. So we all knew, I knew it was going to come back, this negative gearing drama at some point. But for me, the negative gearing change, is going to be a potential huge issue for renters, especially with people who prefer to buy established properties. So if you're going to buy an established property, where they're saying you cannot negative gear that property and your rent is not covering your expenses, what's the first thing you're going to do as an investor? You're going to hike the rent up. But what they're saying is negative gearing then are restricted to new properties only. Now, luckily with what we do here, we do predominantly brand new property. So it's not a big issue for us. But I am concerned about the tenants. I do believe the tenants are going to hurt from a rental perspective, where the rents are going to keep pushing up and pushing up. So that's the big thing for me. And sometimes when you're looking at brand new property, the government used to say, if you've renovated a property, like if it's more than a 40% or 50% renovation, that would class as a new property. They're saying that's not the case this time. If you knock down a house, create land, and then build on top, that's different. That is classed as brand new property. So if you are going to hold on to it, that does work with the negative gearing side of things. So the losers realistically are people who want to purchase just established property. Now, because we do brand new pretty much only, because we try and get at more the wholesale market, we try and pick properties, put them in areas where they don't exist so they get good capital uplift through construction. We're going to win anyway. It doesn't matter if you're hanging on to it. But if you're going to sell that asset, so say, for example, if you're one of my clients who are doing the fast tracking where we're building a duplex and on selling it, you might have it in your personal names at the moment, and that's all good. You guys are safe, but next time you may have to whack it into a company to avoid too much capital gains tax. Now, on a better note as well, what everyone's got to realize, if you have a property under construction right now, or you've signed contracts right now, you're basically got the benefit of building this brand new property, right? And obviously, if you have it in a company, you're going to be able to sell it. It's going to work great. You're on the old school capital gains tax system as well. So the benefit for this scenario, and this is the part I'm actually happy about, with all the sites I've got under construction, with all my clients' sites under construction, I believe they're going to make a good gain out of this next 12 months. Because it's all new property, everyone's going to want the brand new property to be able to get all the negative gearing, which new was better anyway with the depreciation, but some people didn't care about that or maybe didn't need that as well. So from my perspective, the brand new property side of things doesn't change what we do. The only thing that's changed slightly is when we're buying and selling in a short format, we just got to consider companies way over buying it in your personal name. That's where a big part of it for me is where we just got to be more careful with some clients. Because for those of you who are just still doing your first sort of fast track model where you're buying and selling in your personal name, the whole idea of initially doing it in your personal name is just to limit the complexity of the deal, because it's a pretty big thing to do anyway, right? So taking the company out of it, we're able to make it a little bit easier. But for those that are in companies, that's fine. But anyone who's currently started construction or midway construction, I've got a few deals that are midway construction. I'm actually excited. I think I'm going to get a bit of a cream on top, to be honest. I'm going to get a bit of a bonus price at the other end. So there's always silver linings to changes like this, just so you know. And I believe that's one silver lining. Capital gains tax being grandfathered, that's a benefit. I wouldn't call that a silver lining. That's one thing too. And then what we've got, I know you've got some questions in here, guys, but I'm going to come back to these questions. The next thing is they talked about the family trust. Now, as far as buying and selling property, I don't really have anyone that buys in a trust. So most of you that are listening or you're watching tonight, because this webinar was just for clients, I'm not sure if you knew that, you guys aren't really affected. It's only really going to affect my self-employed clients who run a family trust potentially for their business. But that's, of course, up to their accountant to disperse money or make changes moving forward from the 1st of July to make sure they're not going to pay too much tax from a family trust perspective. So in a quick summary of the capital gains tax and the negative gearing, most of you who have got deals happening and in place, even future deals as well, really, it's not going to affect you too much. If you're holding long term, we just put it in your personal name. It's brand new. Who cares? That's going to work with the negative gearing benefit. If you're buying and selling, we just put it in a company instead. So it's not a big deal. It's not a huge issue. A lot of people were worried that the property market was going to fall apart, but it's not. It's actually going to push through now because the brand new properties are going to push through. And realistically, the established property is going to push up behind it as well. But they're going to be more the first home buyer assets than investors are going to be buying them. Yeah, sorry, Kim, I did say that question there. There's no changes to self-managed super funds as far as I'm aware. I didn't see any self-managed super fund changes at all, which I was pretty happy about. They're not really, I think they were changing potentially the super tax for the big super funds, but most people don't have huge super funds anyway, so it's not a big deal, if that makes sense. Before I get to the questions though, what I do want to do is talk quickly about the Facebook group, right? So for the last 12 months, we've been trying to put together a Facebook group just for clients so that we can learn and educate you guys. And I want to share a lot of information on property. I've been a bit slow this last 12 months, as you guys know. But this is what I've just thought, you know what, I'm going to make it happen, because I do believe when times like this happen, we need to have this group, because I need to be able to talk freely. I don't like going live on the Facebook feed of the property bloke, because I'm not interested in showing Tom Jones how to do things that he's not even a client. I just want to help my clients because they're the ones help me. I want to give back helping you guys. I'm just going to share my screen on this. Give me 2 seconds. I won't bore you with this. Hang on, that's not what we need. Sorry, guys, give me 2 seconds. So I'm going to put this link here in the group. It's to this group. This is the brand new Facebook group for us. I actually set this up nearly 12 months ago, but never got to action it. But what this group's about is where we can, all our clients can go in and learn about property. And for me, it is just purely about teaching you guys about what I do personally, what's working and not working in the market. I want to share full examples of it in more of a group format, rather than you guys having to wait for me to jump on a call. I'm going to have regular videos in here, but it is going to be a very relaxed group, guys. If you're thinking it's going to be some huge presentation every week, that's not going to happen. There's going to be some things you don't like that I say in this group. I'm going to be very factual. I'm going to be very, I'm going to talk about money, what to do with money, the right, wrong things, learning patience with money. And some people won't like it because it might not be their personality. But I'm just going to put this link in the chat. Feel free to join. Now, when you join, you will get questions. You'll have questions in there. There will be questions for you to answer. That's because all I want is clients in there only. So if your email address does not match the email address we have on file, please let me know, because you won't be let in, because I can't have every Tom, Dick and Harry in there. I only want my clients only who want to learn more about property. And I want to give back from an education platform that you guys can do it. Now, I'm not going to really start this group till Wednesday, the 27th of May. Next week, I've got a lot of travel booked, so I couldn't do it. But the Wednesday, the 27th of May, I'm going to break it down for you in a lot more format. It'll probably be a bit of a Zoom link again, or a Facebook Live in the group itself. And as I said, unfortunately, it's not for your mate. If they're not a client, I can't help them unless they become a client. So that's the Facebook group. It's really this Facebook group is going to be really important to me to share everything we do. And I'm actually quite excited for it, especially with the scenarios of what we're seeing today with capital gains tax changes and government changes. So the link's in there. You'll probably get an email tomorrow as well. But if it's not for you, no dramas whatsoever. It's no bother. I tried to do a different sort of group format, but unfortunately Facebook's the best one and easiest one to use, which is a bit of a pain in the neck. I'm not a huge social media person. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to studying and things like that. So, but when it comes to giving back, it's really the only platform I can give. I can upload videos and share, etc. That's easy format for you guys too. That's well too. So, but yeah, guys. So I'm going to go through your questions in just a sec. I have been asked a few questions. So a few questions have already been asked is, do I think the new system will stay long-term? And my answer to that is probably, I'm not confident it will. I'm not confident it's going to be here in a couple of years' time. I do believe at the next election, I do believe it's going to be a big point for the opposition, or Pauline Hanson, or whoever's going to be fighting Labor to get in. I do believe it's going to be a big promotion for them to be elected, is to change it either back or add it back to established property. So I don't think it's the be all and end all. I do believe it's a Labor government tax grab. Their idea of, how do I say this? Their idea that they had a big goal of adding new housing. Obviously, we have a massive issue with rent crisis. They failed, so now they're putting it back on us as the investor to do it. That's what they're doing. They're putting it back on us to make it happen. So that's just how it's going to work. With who I think is the biggest loser, and that's what I mentioned before, I do believe the tenant's going to be the biggest loser. I do believe, unfortunately, if you do rent or your kids are going to rent, I think they're going to be the biggest losers out of it. I do think rent are going to skyrocket. I'm only going off history. When they took negative gearing out as a whole back in the 80s, the rents went up by 50%, so overnight. So I do believe there's going to be an effect on the rental market. And one question was, do I have to rush out and buy another property now? Now, I wouldn't say you have to rush out and buy another property now. It's the fact of what you're probably going to see though in the brand new market is you're going to see build increases. The cost of construction is going to go up just from a demand perspective. So if you were thinking about adding a property in the next few months, it's probably something I do soonish rather than later, before either one, the land dries up and you just can't get land, because in some states it's really hard to get land, or the build prices go up. That's one thing I'm doing personally, and other clients are already doing that. So it was more that a question that they had. But let me get into your questions. So I'm just going to start from the top here, guys. Give me 2 seconds. About passing the Senate. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's all going to pass the Senate. I think it will, unfortunately. I think it will, but I'm hoping they don't, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Oh yeah, look, you are right. Why they're trying this again when it didn't work last time, right? And that's what I was saying before. In the 80s, it didn't work, taking negative gearing out. Capital gains tax, they brought in that 50% tax back in the 90s. I think it was John Howard's government that brought that in. I don't see that. What they're changing, I don't see it being a good thing. I think it'll go back, but I will be working with what we've got, because everything that they do is probably going to be grandfathered again. So you can only work with what you've got at the time. That's the best decision you can make. And Ben, is that 30% of the profit? Yes, mate, I think it is. But it's the profit, though, to explain a bit better, the way they index it is if you paid 500K and I think the indexing is incomparable with inflation. As that goes up, so your capital base will go up. So if you bought it for 500, sold it for 800, made a 300 grand gain, but 100 grand is added to your capital base, you'll only pay on the 200 grand gain separate. It's a little bit like that 50% discount, but it's not as attractive on a shorter term. It's more attractive on a much longer term. So if you held the property for 20 years, the indexation method actually works in your favor. But a lot of people don't, because the way the borrowing capacities are today, for you to keep buying more property, someone's got to sell a couple to keep buying more. And that's my argument with the government. At the end of the day, if they just had said, hey, if we've got to add more properties, let's just tell the banks to relax their policy a bit. If the banks relax their policy a bit, there'll be more investors in the market to be able to buy more properties and, of course, build brand new ones, whatever they want to do. And that's going to supply more housing. But for some reason, the government's too stupid to know that. It's because they live in their fantasy world, guys. But the reason for the group and the reason why I wanted to jump on tonight is to tell you guys, never rely on the government. The government does not work for us. We work for them. They take our tax. You remember the old school days where, mortgage broking become a new thing, and the customer was happy because they were dealing with, say, an independent person. They weren't treated like a number from the bank. But you got to understand, your tax file number is the same thing. You're treated like a number from the government, and they want to rape as much tax out of you as possible to pay for what, right? To pay for what? We don't really see a lot of it. We have Medicare, which is fantastic. I'm going to stop ranting, sorry guys, but I'm just not a fan of the government. Max, does this mean it's better to buy a new property? Definitely buy a new property, which we do anyway here. If that's definitely what we do anyway. So I've got here for yourself, Mark. Touch on the mark before, but a lot of pundits accept the overall market to drop by some 4%. Thoughts? No, Mark, I don't think the market's going to drop. I think there'll be a little bit of a stale market in the second-hand part in some areas. But from my perspective, I think the first home buyers are taking up that anyway. Because if you remember, for the average mum and dad investor, it's pretty much the same market demographic or the same medium price bracket for that area that the first home buyer is buying into. So I do believe the first home buyer is going to still buy those established properties, but the investors definitely won't. So what you guys have to realize too is that obviously we specialize in brand new properties, right? Because it's what we do. We believe in the wholesale market because it's just what I do personally as well. So, but there's a lot, there's thousands of buyers agents out there that promote shitty 300, 400 grand shit boxes in the middle of nowhere with shit rent because they get paid their fee, right? And you can add, and obviously if you're buying a 300K property, you can add more properties quicker too. The downside of that is they are normally, even though the rent might be 400 and you're paying 300 in Shitsville, you're still got a negative yield asset. And so all those buyers agents are going to start pushing the brand new stuff to their clients. And that's where if you've got a brand new property or building, you're going to get really good uplift on it. But of course, some people may or may not opt out to take benefit of the capital gains tax, having that grandfather clause capital gains tax on the property you've got today by selling on completion. Some will take advantage of that because you are going to get a premium purely because it's brand new. A lot of super fund buyers that these guys hook into pay a premium for the product. So from my perspective, I don't believe the secondhand market is going to die off. I don't believe it's going to change much. I actually think for the last 2 months or so, people have been holding their breath, putting their hands in their pockets. The market's been quite dead everywhere. I've got 2 sets of duplexes for sale myself at the moment. There's been no inquiry, nothing. People are just too scared to make a decision. But as of today, I do expect it to get all better. I've got a couple of clients with a couple of duplexes for sale as well. They've had not much inquiry either. So, but that's all going to change now. It's all going to turn around. But you will probably find the real estate agents will start to adjust their marketing towards an investor if it is a brand new duplex or brand new asset to resell. That's one thing I think you will see. And if your agent doesn't, for those guys, I can see a couple of guys on here who are just about to sell their properties or have properties for sale. I do believe that you need to tell your agent to market towards an investor. Bring the investor into it. Investor, investor, investor. There's not a lot of brand new stock on the market. So that's going to make a huge difference, guys. It's definitely going to be a huge difference. So Paul, will duplexes be the best way to go moving forward? Mate, I do say the word duplexes a lot. Sorry, that's because that's the strategy we've used for a fair bit the last few years with a lot of clients to buy and sell quick. Duplex land's actually been a little bit hard to get. So we're actually moving into more townhouse complexes moving forward as well. So, but basically buying and selling, whether you're buying a block of land, cutting into two, you're buying a block of land, building a duplex, knocking down a house first, building a duplex, building a new house. It's all about different strategies working at different times. And my job is just to bring those strategies to the table and see where you feel comfortable. The last few months, it has been a little bit quiet on the fast track side of things for clients because land's been a bit hard to get. A lot of people aren't wanting to sell because of the way the government's been scaremongering everybody with the media. Obviously, social media is the worst thing ever. Like in relation to you click on one thing and then the next 10 days you're just getting swamped and overwhelmed. And, you know, like I think I've got erectile dysfunction because you click on something wrong and the pilot ad or whatever the call keeps popping up and you think there's something wrong with it. You actually start to get in your head. I don't, by the way. But yeah, so Dan, where is the line drawn on what is a new property? So mate, it's just got to be built. To my knowledge, I did read something today though, but that's probably, Dan, that's probably an accountant specific question. But I did read that as long as it hasn't been occupied, up to 12 months. So I don't know exactly where that line is. It's a bit of a grey area still. We'll learn more over the next weeks or months. But I do believe the property will be brand new, potentially before it's occupied. So not rented or you haven't lived in it. I think that's how they're going to do it. But I'm a big believer in, just building it yourself or buying it established brand new. That's the best way to do it. But building it yourself is the best way because if you get the land right, you pick the right pocket, you're going to get uplift through construction. That's what you want. And buying the right product for the area too. That's a big one. So if you do a new build and sell it before renting, is that new potential property? Well, I believe so, Dan. Yeah. So what Dan's question was there, sorry, is if you do a new build and sell it before renting, is that property, is that classed as a new property to potential investors? The way I've read it today, the answer is yes. I do believe that. Obviously, when you're selling it, if you're the seller and your buyer thinks it's a brand new property and they buy it, then for some reason it's not. Just remember, that's not your problem. that's not your problem. That's the agent's problem or the buyer's accountant's problem. So I do believe though, yeah, if your property is built brand new, not rented, I think you'll be able to sell it as a brand new property. Especially if, like, I think a few of you guys here are just building, say, a dual income property, like a dual key. Like that's got to be a bit of a winner from an uplift perspective as well. We do see a lot of uplift in the dual keys through construction, to be honest. So I'm quite excited for that part. I just want to see good values for you. How the bank perceive this, that's another one too. So when it comes to lending, we've got to see how the bank do it, because I've got a feeling what a lot will happen in relation to, say, for example, everyone has it. You get your house valued by the bank. You think it's worth $1 million. The valuer values it at $800,000 because they're painful. Now, that could be one of the problems we face when you're going to buy a brand new property, because we do get sometimes short valuations just because we're building a dual income property in an area where dual income properties don't exist. So they've got no comparables. But you might see the valuers being a little bit conservative in that area because they're worried about a bit of a hype on the brand new property, which I do believe could possibly happen in 6 months' time. But I think the next couple of months are going to be the pick of the crop, because you'll get existing build prices, existing land prices, maybe titled land ready to go, where I think that will be a thing of the past. It'll be what we call unregistered land for a long time, because I do believe our land's going to get dried up in the next couple of months. It won't take long, to be honest with you. That's good to see other people aren't a fan of the government. That's very good. But just so that's what that Facebook group's all about, guys. I put that group in there. It's about teaching you guys different strategies and different things you can do it's not tax evasion. That's not what I'm trying to teach you. Just so you don't send me to jail. It's smart. It's been smarts with everything. Tax structures, money. I want to teach everything that I do and help everyone else who needs a little bit of a hand, because not everyone, can do things I do, or I can't do things you do. Like, I go to the gym. Some people can't even count their reps at the gym because they can't count past 10. That's just who they are. I can't spell well. So yeah, that's just who I am. So it's no dramas. I just want to make sure everyone's going to win. And I'm really happy with what we've seen today. Last night announced, it's not too bad. It actually isn't that bad. I didn't expect it to be bad. I'm going to be straight up and honest with you. I didn't even look at the budget till this morning. That's how stressed I was about it. Not even a zip stressed about it. I knew whatever it was going to do, it wasn't going to be huge. Even though some people may see it huge, but having that grandfather where everything you've already got in place stays in place, it's not huge. My only concern was they would not grandfather everything you've already done. So people who are doing things now, they're going to just get smashed with tax, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. But yeah, guys, I hope that's okay for tonight. I just wanted to jump on. I've been a little bit quiet, obviously with a lot of things happening, but I just wanted to jump on and let you guys know that I created this group, so that that Facebook group, so that we can communicate through there. I can educate you through there. It's not always going to be at night like this, to be honest with you. It could be through the middle of the day as well. But I'll be uploading videos, so you can just watch them in your own pace. Shoot me a text or whatever you might have if you have a question about the actual video we post. And if you had to book in a call, if you've got something specific you're not sure about, you just message me or Jess and we book you in. Yeah, that's how we do it. But guys, I am recording this, so if your partner's not here, which could be part of the case, obviously people work outside of normal hours. I am recording this. Hopefully I'm doing it right. As I mentioned earlier, it's the first time since I've done it for a little while. So I will just flick an email out with the recording the next couple of days. But the main thing is, all you guys that are here, is what I can say. Let's do a quick flick through. You guys aren't affected for anything. None of you guys that are here is what I can see. Everything you guys have in place will stay in place exactly the same. If anything, some of you could benefit a little bit by the brand new structure. So, and if you're on the verge of buying something now, which I'm chatting to a few of, I can see, like, we're going to get you locked into something at today's prices as quick as we can before they change too much. So yeah, because I want everyone to get that uplift to make it work. But yeah, guys, if any other questions, I guess, before I kick on, I'll just hang around for 2 seconds. Feel free to leave if you've had enough of me, or if you've got other questions, feel free to jump on. I'll stay on for a couple more seconds, and I just want to make sure everyone's got any of their questions. Yeah, Yeah, that's right, Ben. Mate, exactly what I'm going to do. You told Roy to change to investor. That's what I'm going to be doing too, 100%. All my marketing for my two assets is definitely going to an investor. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate you jumping on and having a listen. And I hope I've helped you out a little bit with it. And if you need anything from me, shoot me an email or a message. We just booking a call and see how we go. All right. Thanks heaps, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. See you later.